What's going on YouTube? It's your man James. Today, we're going to do the full review of the Galaxy S23 FE. My favorite thing about this phone is actually the form factor. Check it out. Flat display, a lot more rounded off, very boxy, very iPhone-like, dare I say. That's the reason I got the LG V60 on the table, just for the form factor. The shape of the phone, very reminiscent. But of course, the S23 FE is a little bit smaller. You got Gorilla Glass 5 on the front. You got Gorilla Glass 5 on the back. The phone is IP68 dust and water resistant. The phone, of course, does come with a dynamic AMOLED 120 Hz HDR 10 plus 1450 nits peak brightness display on that thing. Now, if you're international, you're going to get the Exynos 2200. But if you're in the United States, you're going to get the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. Now, that's the same chip that comes in the OnePlus 10 Pro, as well as in the S22 Ultra. Camera setup on this one is actually interesting. So you got a 12 megapixel ultra wide, you got a 50 megapixel main wide lens, and then you got an 8 megapixel telephoto. Not quite flagship S23 specs. The main difference is going to be you're going to get 12, 50, and 8 on the FE. And then on the main S23, you're going to get 12, 50, and 10. Now, for anyone who's seen the unboxing, actually, I got the box right here. This is the one that I purchased for my girl. And then this phone I actually purchased off of eBay new. And instead of paying the MSRP, I actually paid $299 for this phone here, new. I was not expecting to like this phone as much as I have, but let's go ahead and talk about it. So the first thing I want to talk about is the display. And 120 Hertz. Real smooth. I mean, no complaints on the scrolling. It does get pretty bright too. The display definitely gets as bright as you need it to. And we'll cut the brightness back up. But however bright that you need it to get, oh, it'll get there. The form factor in the hand, this is probably my favorite phone to hold and to use on a day-to-day because of the form factor. Now, I got the S23 Ultra for comparison right here. Put the V60 over here. We ain't really gonna need to talk about that no more. Smaller, not quite as wide. And then you can look at the camera array here compared to the S23 Ultra. And as far as the frame, like I mentioned, no curved display. You do got that glass back on there. And this phone, the reason that I like this phone is it packs a lot of great hardware and practical day-to-day usage into a small package for a good price. And that's kind of my thing with this phone, the price. I am 2 S23 FEs in, and I am $700 in off of 2 phones. Now, brand new. And a lot has been said about the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. We'll take a peek at some of the battery life that I got. So the OnePlus 10 Pro really turned me off of that processor, but it's actually better optimized for the S23 FE. And I'm almost certain that the cooling and the thermals on the S23 FE are a lot better than on the 10 Pro. I've not had any issues as far as with the phone getting hot or warm. And I can't say the same about the S22 Ultra. So here's an example of a time where I was 100% actively using the phone. We can look at the discharge. We can look at the screen on time and how fast it's discharging right there. So I'm using it for navigation. I'm taking pictures. I was texting. I was doing a lot during my time with the phone. And during that stint, I only got 6 hours of usage, but I guarantee you I also had my hotspot going too, as we can tell by the screen off discharging speed. I guarantee you I had my hotspot going, and I had another phone that I was using at the same time. So that's an example of heavy usage on the phone, and I was only able to get 6 hours out of it, and I would be willing to bet that was probably a weekend day. But either way, an hour and a half later, plugged up on the charger, right? And then I was good for another 29 hours and 5.5 hours of screen on time. And this is after the battery settled on the phone once the battery settled on the phone for me, I was pretty surprised with the amount of battery that I was able to get. The deep sleep is very telling. The OnePlus 10 Pro could never. The OnePlus, especially prior to Android 14, the OnePlus 10 Pro could never. Android 14 has really unlocked a lot of phones that have been able to get it. Android 14 has really done a lot of great things for the phone, but at this point in time, I don't even know if I had Android 14 on here. I very recently have put it on here. Now that 25 watt wired charging, not the fastest in the world, but for what you can get the phone for, it is what it is. Point being, I've gotten pretty decent battery life out of the phone. And a lot of times when I've been using it, I haven't just been, probably turn this down. A lot of times when I've been using the phone, I've been using it heavy. This is my workhorse, and I'm gonna keep it real. This phone generally is an everyday carry phone for me. I enjoy using this phone that much. So we've talked about the look. We've talked about the display. Let's go ahead and talk about the camera. Now, this is a random, I don't even know what kind of notification that is. This is a flagship camera. So on your main camera, you can switch to 50 megapixel high resolution on there. You do got, I believe, up to 3x portrait on here. I've taken some pretty, those fingerprints. I've taken some pretty decent portrait shots that I'll put in at some point during the video. And you got 1, 2, 3x on there. I believe you can go up to 30. Yep, you can go up to 30 on here. Video, I got it at 4K 60, but you can go up to 8K 24. I've been really impressed with the video quality of this phone. It's been better than the OnePlus 10 Pro. It's been better than the LG V60. It's been better than the OnePlus 11. It's pretty much been better than anything that it competed with as far as in the price range at MSRP. Now, of course, it's not going to compete with your, what is this? It's not going to compete. Now, I will say this is actually a good comparison. This is actually a Note 20 Ultra. It's a Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. And if we look at the lens, I mean, 108 megapixel lens right there, 50 megapixel lens right here. But I do feel that, and it's close on these, but the thing that I'll say about the S23 FE, this camera does let in more light in a low light situation. So in a low light scenario, the camera is going to let in more light compared to this a little bit more dated camera in the Note 20 Ultra. Now, that ain't to say the Note 20 Ultra is got a bad camera, but The color difference was evident to me when I used the phone, and I'll see if I could replicate it on camera. You can kind of see it in the background with the box that is just more in focus on the fan edition, but the clarity I think is a little bit better. And the color accuracy is real hard to see right here, but the focus do take a little bit longer. But personally, and it's pretty close. As far as in photos, as far as with photo, it's been pretty close. But for video, you'll notice the color difference right here. And then I'm gonna put them at the same position. And so we'll notice that things in the background are just a little bit more clear. But you'll also notice the holder, the phone holder I got right here. We'll notice in this little holder here, we are at a little bit of a darker color. And that's one thing I did want to mention. I just kind of noticed that the colors on the Note 20 Ultra, they're just a little bit darker compared to the fan edition. At a minimum, I would say you're getting a camera that's at least a little bit better than the Note 20 Ultra. It's kind of in that league. It's not up there with the S21 Ultra with those additional lenses on the back, but it's certainly not, in this territory. I don't really use this phone no more. The lack of ability to focus on the phone is kind of what got me. Once you start to getting close, it just kind of falls off. But of course, you're not talking about the big boy, You ain't here in this territory. It's a $1,300 phone. If you got this phone on Black Friday or around then for $399, you got a great phone. And even if you paid MSRP on this phone, you still got a great phone. Now, to illustrate this, we're going to do a little sound test, and I got the S23 Ultra right here. We'll compare it against. So matter of fact, let me do S23 Ultra first. Damn, I let that run way too long. Okay, so we're gonna go right to the fan edition. So it's on the FE. Yeah, we're gonna do that again. So as we run down the checklist of what defines a flagship phone, the phone checks a lot of boxes. Now, I don't know if we caught that face unlock. Just because I'm trying to catch it, we ain't gonna catch it. And I'm behind the camera. So that the face unlock, pretty good. Now, it ain't on the level of the S23 Ultra. But it don't have to be either. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Now, the fingerprint. So it ain't quite the quick tap and go that you get on the Ultra, but it ain't bad. It ain't bad. And for comparison, I mean, see that? We'll do it again. Do it again. Let me get my case. I use the phone with a case with a built-in screen protector. Yeah. Even being in a case with a built-in screen protector, you get a lot for your money versus what you pay. You get a lot. Now, at $299, this might be the best $299 I've ever spent on a phone. Now, let's talk about some more of the features real quick. So I got it kind of set up the way I like my Samsung setup, but on the Fan Edition, you do get performance profile. So just like on the S23 Ultra, you can turn it from standard to light and increase your battery life. I got protect battery on because I do plan on keeping it for the long term. Let's talk about extra dim. Are we seeing that the screen is on? The screen is actually on. Let me turn the brightness up a little bit. It's covered in fingerprints. Well, but that extra dim, I mean, it gets pretty extra dim. Hold on, let me see. I got to be able to turn it back on now. Shit, I can't even see it. Man, how am I supposed to turn it back on? Okay, I got it. Whew, man, yeah, that extra dim, I got to turn it down. I think I might have turned that intensity up a little too high. But yeah, that extra dim, it gets pretty dim. So you can go all the way down here, and that's the minimum, and then you can cut on extra dim and get it even dimmer. I mean, incredible. And when you laying in bed at night, you know, especially if you got somebody in there with you, being able to cut that brightness down that low, pretty clutch for me. I like that. So in addition to that, you got all your other flagship features on the phone. You got reverse wireless charge on there. So wireless power share or reverse wireless charge on here. So and there you go. Wireless power share. Now, you're not going to get the quickest wireless charging in the world, but if you're in the middle of nowhere, you don't care. You know, if you in a pinch and need to put something on there, you go right ahead and there you go. But that, to me, that's mostly if you got something like these Galaxy Buds over here, that's usually what I end up using it for if I need it. But of course, it's quicker and more efficient to plug in. But it's there. If you need it, it's there. And that's what you care about. You rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. That's my thing. You're getting a lot of features on here. You got your secure folder. Everybody sharing all of that. You got a lot of features packed in, of course, and I don't know if I mentioned it during the sound test. You do got Dolby Atmos as well. Eye comfort shield, smart view device control. One of my favorite things is you also got your edge panels right here. So just like on your S23 Ultra or your S24 Ultra, then you also can have your widgets, just like you got in your S23 Ultra. You edit it. Of course, you got your themes as well. Basically, another Galaxy phone. I mean, I know I've said that a couple of times, but the theme remains strong. Another Galaxy phone. And you know what you're getting. I don't mean to sound repetitive, but consistency is key. And one of the cool things I like that they did with this generation of base model S23, S23 Plus, and S23 FE, the back. So you don't have that bump on the back that looks like like these style of phone. Like I think the S22 and S21, S20, all those, even the fan editions. I don't think the S22 had a fan edition. I think that was just a 21 and the 20, but you don't have that bump over the camera. The camera sitting flush with the body of the phone, like on the Ultra style. And, I just think it makes the phones look more modern, not having that bump right there. And you're not going to look like you got an old ass phone walking around with this in your pocket. And again, or walking around with this in your hand. And again, with this, the form factor, very iPhone-like for me, real easy to hold. And it's one of my favorite phones at night to use, like if I'm scrolling in the bed or something like that. And that brings me to my final thoughts on the phone. This phone has been a pleasant surprise, and it's turned into something that I had no expectations for, to an everyday carry. And I may not have my SIM card in it every day, but pretty much anywhere I go, unless I'm testing 2 or 3 different phones, I'm going to have this with me. I think value per dollar, what you get versus what you pay, this is one of the best values, not just of 2023, but into 2024. The price on these ain't going to do nothing but come down. People going to be scooping them up for $299, for $250 all day, every day at some point in the future. Maybe not right now, but at some point in the future, people are going to be scooping these up for a real good price, and you're going to get a lot of phone. If you got parents, if you got older people in your family, if you got kids, you know what I mean? You can give them this phone and they can do everything that they can do on the current phone that they got, and likely more. It's a lot of phone in a small, easy to hold package. The biometrics are great. The refresh rate, the display is great. We've seen it gets pretty bright. You got a decent camera array for what you're paying. Speeds are pretty good. And speaking of that, let's check that. Go to youtube.com.
Opening.
Oh man. Open Instagram.
Opening.
All right. Open AccuBattery.
Opening.
Think I might have had that open. Open Chick-fil-A.
Opening.
All right. Go to oneplus.com.
Opening web.
Open Reddit.
Opening. Opening.
Open Chick-fil-A.
Opening.
Open YouTube.
Opening. Opening.
Open Google Play.
Open.
I rest my case. Like I said, for what you pay versus for what you pay versus what you get, I was really impressed with this phone. This is my third one of these, but we ain't gonna get into that. Shout out to that dickhead on eBay. Yeah, fuck you too. I like the phone so much that I wanted to make sure instead of getting a used one, I actually wanted to get a new one. It's been a great value phone. I've been really impressed with the phone, and I'm gonna keep it in the rotation for a long time. This phone ate the OnePlus 11 for lunch. You hear me? This phone ate the OnePlus 11 for lunch with the older chipset in it. We are running One UI 6 Android 14 on that thing. Anyway, I appreciate y'all rocking with me today, man. I'll catch y'all on the next video. Later.
Fire, boy, I still blazing. Getting higher in the haze, it's amazing. I'm rolling like a tire upon the pavement, boy.